Hi, everyone. It's Judith Browse, and we're back for another episode of Author You, your guide to book publishing podcast. And I guess I want to thank all our viewers, our listeners, because since we started 8 years ago, there's been 22 million of you here. So that's kind of cool. And as I always start every show with, I pull a quote from my book, Snappy, Sassy, Salty Success for Authors and Writers. And I always like to try to tie it in with something that's going to be appropriate for what we're talking about it. So let's start with author book marketing is about sharing and telling people about what you care about and what you're passionate about. So with me today is someone I know of because I had the pleasure of being with her on a panel a week ago out in San Francisco. And I just said, I want you on my podcast. It was that simple. With us is Kat Neff. And Kat has a great pedigree. She has over 20 years of experience in the publishing industry. She's built a career spanning sales, marketing, and publicity. He brings a huge amount of knowledge about book promotion and media relations, along with just what I would call practical, common sense, yet insider perspective for we authors who we can successfully position, or maybe for some of us, reposition ourselves and what we do and what we're about. So, Kat, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I am so glad you're here. I just love what you had to say and share. I love it that you're still an insider on what's going on. And for those of you who want to know how to reach out to her, her website is Kat, K-A-T, Kat, Neff, Neff.com. And with that, so let's talk about your pedigree a little bit. What brings you to the party? What brought you? What was your passion factor?
My passion factor, I discovered that I really enjoy meeting and working with authors. I mean, I have the pleasure of working with, several all the time and, being of use and helping them, to learn how to talk with media folks, to start relationships with those media folks and be subject matter experts in whatever they're doing. If it's energy healing, if it's,
Mhm.
whatever it might be, that I'm there to help and support them and teach them maybe a thing or two that I might know.
Well, I don't you love it when you learn new stuff? I do. I always love the
Definitely.
little tidbits drop in. So, if you over 20 years, what's different? What's changed?
Oh, so much has changed. It really has. I mean, everything has moved from, and it used to be I could get television regularly, like a little morning show or that kind of thing, or lifestyle. And a lot of, there's a lot of things going on to where there's not a lot of that going on. Really, there's just, um, not so much opportunity to pop into a morning show or, be on that drive time radio. Mostly media is online now. And so you're going to see magazines, there's some newspaper, but podcasts are really springing up in all different types of topics. So whatever your book is written on, there's a podcast for it, probably a dozen or so. so,
Hmm.
so
So,
yeah.
okay, so for the tip for all of you, you just go to the Google and you put in what podcast features books about blah 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 and see what
Yes.
pops up.
Mm-hmm.
That's simple.
Yeah, it really is. It really
Mhm.
is. And so, my pleasure is introducing authors to folks I've been working with for years. So I'm in the mind, body, spirit arena. And so it's going to be
Mhm.
energy healing, meditation,
Mhm. Mhm.
magic, dreams, all
Magic.
that, all of those things. And I learn from all of the authors too, just little bits of their wisdom and what they have
Mhm.
to bring to the podcast listeners.
Mhm.
So I like to share that the podcasters usually like to have a couple of takeaways for their listeners, like a little meditation or exercise or what have you from their book, so they can start delving into the subject matter right away.
Well, I love that. So
Mm-hmm.
takeaways I totally get, but maybe a little exercise to walk them through, or
Mental
or for
exercise.
body, mind, spirit, a meditation. I
Mm-hmm.
know one author. Whenever I have her on, there is always a meditation with it.
Mm-hmm.
On it. I'm always looking for tips. I always like do's and don'ts.
Mm.
That's why I always like to lead with, so what is change? So since we're going to podcast land,
Mm-hmm.
what does an author need to have to available to a podcaster? I guess one, to check them out, or to use with a query or a pitch. What do we need?
Mostly, I keep it pretty short. People are still reading things on their phones. And so you want to get your ask in about the first 2 or 3 sentences. And that's going to be who you are, what you're doing, and why you're contacting them, and what you
Okay.
have to bring to the party. So that's the fourth line.
All right.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
so the who, it's the who,
Mm-hmm.
why, and what you bring.
Mm-hmm.
I got to remember. All right, now, with that said, and you're saying most of it's on mobile now, because I've actually seen some really detailed stuff that they want
Mm-hmm.
you to fill out a lot of things.
There can
And
be
it says
a guest form,
almost
that
like
kind
a
of.
copy paste media page, media
Mm-hmm.
kit.
Yeah, and there's some where you get social media links so you can promote your episode, which I think
Hmm.
is helpful as long as it's
Right?
easy to do and you can farm it into whatever work you're doing. But
Hmm.
I also think that an author should be aware that there's going to be a certain amount of time investiture in the promotion of their book. And that's from months before it comes out, when it comes out, and then 4 months afterwards. Your opportunities are right there when your book is new.
Hmm. Well, I think that the plus, because one of my favorite words, Kat, is repurpose. And
Mm-hmm.
what it does allow, because so much is online and so social media, and I'd love to get from you maybe some social media tips, placements,
Mm-hmm.
ideas. Should you do ads? Should you just, building, that kind of thing? Um, is that to really come out and have fun. I mean,
Yes, that's really
yeah.
important. It's really important. I mean, with social media, is finding the platform that really feels natural to you. And so
Mhm.
Facebook is great for groups. If you like to have a group of folks that are engaged in a practice or what have you,
Mhm.
Instagram for like the little stories, and there are threads for deep thoughts. There's Blue Sky. But in truth, I find that newsletters nowadays are really important because you've got, instead of having several passive followers that are paying attention to what you have going, and if you post on that and that's what you do well, that's great. But a newsletter gives you an opportunity to really form a community, an engaged community who are interested in your topics and what you're up to. And so it gives you the opportunity to share what you're inspired by, what you'd like to share with people and hoping that they're inspired by that. And so it gives you an opportunity probably about twice a month, once a month, however many times your newsletter comes out. If you're once a
You
week,
know,
bless you. But it's a certain amount of work.
it is. I have one. I have a newsletter every Wednesday,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and I have a different one that goes out on Substack the
Mm-hmm.
next, on Tuesday,
Yes.
which duplicates stuff, and then because that's a different audience totally.
Yes.
And I think what's important for all of you listening in is that your audience, because you're on Facebook, there's a
Mm-hmm.
gazillion other people on LinkedIn or
Yes.
on Instagram or on Threads or Blue Sky, or it's fill in the blank. They're
Yep.
out there.
Yep.
Uh,
It's
and
mhm. It's
and
finding what you feel comfortable in. I find that Substack, I hadn't mentioned that, but it's That's fairly important. And LinkedIn is where you can put your newsletters also. So that's another place to share your inspirations and,
Hmm.
new wins, just whatever you think is interesting and relevant to other people.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn
Yes.
for a long time. And then I mourned when Microsoft took it over and they made the groups invisible and they took
Mm,
away the powers that a group manager could have. I mean, it was great.
yeah.
We were allowed to, but everyone in the old days, which would maybe be 5 years ago,
Hmm.
um, but as a manager, the Author U group community still active, but now has over 33,000 members in it. And
Yep.
I could send a message out individually to every one of them once a week.
Fantastic.
Do you know how powerful that is
It really
to do?
is.
And it's, I never understood Microsoft's reasoning, but oh well.
Hmm. Well, we just do what we can do with the tools that are available to us,
All right.
and there are a lot of
Right.
tools.
Right.
Hmm.
So as a publicist for a publishing house, when
Hmm.
you have a newbie come in who what how do you work with them on infrastructure of going forward with a publicity campaign? What would be what would be your um, Yoda words of wisdom?
I would say, and I actually have had great success with a first-time author. It took him 10 years to write his book, and the book is Wisdom from the Woods. And everybody needs
Mhm.
like a little, like nurturing, just wonderful things that nature
Yeah,
gives us from that.
yeah.
And I told him the first thing he should do is go to his local bookstores and tell them he's a local author and that he'd love to do a book signing in there. I always encourage authors to go in and be part of their book selling community. Go to the local
Mhm.
libraries and book a talk there. And it's pretty successful. And that gives an opportunity for an author to kind of get their feet wet and be comfortable with it and feel those first stirrings of success, because that's
Mhm.
really important.
Mhm. And then, by the way, if you book those things, you tell everybody you know to come because number one, the bookstore wants traffic. They also
Mm,
want books to be sold,
yes.
and the library. I'm a huge supporter of libraries too, doing events with libraries.
Mhm. I mean, with
So,
the bookstores, it depends on the bookstore. If it's a small indie, that kind of thing, they like the
mhm,
opportunity to have something going on where it brings people into the store also. So even if they don't buy the author's particular book, they come in and they'll buy something else. So that
mhm,
helps. But most of bookstore events, they're not going to sell a ton of books. But these are going to be people, if they didn't buy it that night, they might come back and buy it the following week. They'll
mhm,
buy it before if the bookstore has it on display.
mhm,
They might have bought it already. So the newer the book, the more likely will be selling at an event. I mean, but it's only going to be a few. The goal is to get out there and do some events. It
mhm,
excites the sales reps a lot of the
mhm,
time. For us, we send out a
mhm,
list of those events and it gets them charged up so they sell more books. So they're more personally invested in it.
mhm.
So that helps
So
us. Hmm.
it does help a lot, and I would encourage, first of all of you, when's the last book event you attended? And
Hmm.
why don't you show up at a few? And I'm going
Yeah.
to tell you, please buy a book because you're
Hmm.
learning. This is part of the investment. Let's
Yeah.
support the author. So many times, yeah, people are in shell shock when I say, "Do you have any idea through a publisher how much money an author really makes?" And most do not. If you've got what a 20, well, I'm seeing books going out at $30 a book now
Hmm.
for new books. And they think that the author gets half. And
That would
you
not be the case. No, unless they're
you
selling it themselves at an event, like an outdoor fair, what have you, depending on where you are.
that's a different animal. That's
Yes,
where
it is
you're the
completely different.
you're the supplier, the distributor,
Hmm. We
and
are.
you're doing that, and you're the money taker, and you're all those things. But that they're just shocked when I tell them that many times
Hmm.
it could be $1 to $1.50, maybe that it's that. So
They
I
sell a
said
lot
that,
of them.
and that's why I said that's why you buy the book. That's why you support the
Yeah.
author, especially if they're entertaining you. But they're also now they're teaching you. So I would
Hmm.
go and check it out in doing that. And also, Kat mentioned the indies. Let me tell you, when Barnes and Noble they brought in the new CEO about 6 years ago.
Hmm.
His dictum was to reach out into the community, support the
Hmm.
community. I sell more books at a Barnes and Noble than I do at a little indie bookstore now.
Hmm.
So,
Yep, yep. See, with us, our shipping is free both ways, so we try to make it easy for the bookstores to order a bunch and they can send it back, whenever they don't want to keep in stock. So we do
mhm,
try to support that. Um, with stores like Barnes and Noble, they've got more marketing ability. And I think that
mhm,
that's part of what brings people into the stores, that they have a big flyer, a poster in the store with all the events on there. Online, they have it. So
mhm,
bookstores also can market, and the
mhm.
author can market the events. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm in a series of bookstores over the April through June timeframe.
Hmm.
I actually do a little video. I make it less than 60 seconds, so and then it qualifies for a YouTube short. Okay. Because they get more views. Okay. So, but I will
Hmm.
do it's calling all book lovers in Colorado.
Hmm.
Literally, meet me at the Fort Collins Barnes and Noble. I'll have my brand new book, but I'm with seven other authors. If you're like mystery, suspense, fantasy, kiddos, all kinds of and I just will do little, and then I send it to the bookstore so they can
Hmm.
share it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a few bookstores that really work that and have, a good community they can send things out to. And
Hmm.
again, newsletter, and also, promotional posters, that kind of thing.
We do all of that, everyone. Okay.
Hmm.
So going back to my original question,
Yep.
what has changed? All right. So drive time
Hmm.
interviews, pretty much a dinosaur. That's what
Yeah.
I'm
Here and
okay.
there. Halloween. If I have paranormal authors too. So if they've got a scary book, but that's late summer, fall. And ends
Well,
around November,
it,
that
it
season.
it's a window, it's a theme
So,
um, that goes on. All right. So you gave me a few points. So you talk about owning your own story. Let's
hmm.
let's let's dive into it. What's that about?
Well, what it is, it's part of what I was talking about with the newsletters, but um, it's sharing who you are, and
Mhm,
your book is there too, and what inspired you to write the book. What are the things that brought you to create your book? Because that in itself is an interesting story. And
mhm,
so, telling people who you are and what you've developed as a teaching. I'm speaking from the mind, body, spirit realm. So that's what it is. And so oftentimes they'll bring a healing modality to the party. We
mhm,
have people who have tarot books and they'll do like little divinations and such. So there's something there that you can give people of yourself, when you're sharing your story.
mhm, mhm. All right. And then this really ties in, especially I think if you're going to try to get yourself on podcasts or
Oh
on
yeah.
any of those things, because social media is there. And that I think what we were talking about, what pitches,
Mm-hmm.
pitches, platforms, and panache. That's what you and I were talking
Yes,
about.
yes,
Okay,
that's what we decided on, and it's and
but
it's absolutely
let's get
true.
there. Yeah.
But
So pitching
yeah,
it. All
pitching
right.
it,
So
pitch it.
pitching
Mhm.
it, you've got to go with that. That's why you have to know your own story.
Mhm.
And who do we pitch it to? Okay. So if you're trying to, and boy, Kat, help me out. If
Mhm.
you are trying to get on podcasts, any kind of media, they do want to know how you are going to also help push it out. Would that be safe to say?
Yes. So a podcaster, traditionally, it's like they want you to have something to contribute to their listeners. And so it's like 3 to 5 tips of something that can give them a good
Hmm.
takeaway. It's important to share that you're willing to promote your episode, like you'd said, on
Hmm.
social media, in your newsletter, on if you're on another, different kind of podcast, what have you. Make sure that you're promoting your appearances. That's really
Hmm.
important because it
Hmm.
shows that when you have your next book out and you have a good relationship with that podcaster, you can
Hmm.
anniversary that success with
Oh,
your
I love
following
that.
book.
Great
Mm-hmm.
word. That's a great word. All right. How about email? How does email come into this mix when we talk about the platform and the pitching and all that?
Mm-hmm. Well, an email list the email itself that you're sending with the pitch. Is that what we're talking about?
Well, either thing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I guess what always amazes me, Kat, is how few people really get the power of an email list.
Yes.
That is one of the things that is, um, it's not confusing to me. It's like, what planet are you people on? If you're,
Got an email. You have to learn how to compose an email. Who
okay,
is it going to? Think about who it's going to, why you're sending it, what you're bringing to them, and,
hmm,
your hope for starting a dialogue. And that's part of what a newsletter is if you're emailing for that purpose. If you're pitching, you're asking for a favor. You're asking to be on a podcaster's show. So let's be courteous and thankful and say, this is what I bring to you. This is what I bring to the party. And I hope that you're inspired to book me on your show so I can bring your listeners these gifts.
hmm, hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Tips, gifts, and whatever else that
Yeah, yeah.
go to buy. What happened if you're, this is the introvert.
Mm-hmm.
You and I are not introverts. Okay, but that that so many authors just want to be writing. Just leave me alone. Let me write. And I always say you need to get over that. You're gonna have to
If you
um
want to be published, you have to get over that because
mhm.
if you have to think about when you're writing your book, who's your audience? If it's just your friends and family, and you're going to just do a self-publishing thing with just friends and family in it, blessings. But
and,
if you
and
want,
and that's
mhm,
fine, by the way,
mhm,
everyone.
great, yeah, yeah,
Those are usually what we call legacy books.
right.
It's just for a circle, a very small
Mhm.
circle.
So if you want a very small audience of specific range, then that's what you have. Self-publishing is a little wider, but again, self-publishing, a lot of people don't realize how much work it is.
Oh, it's a
It's
lot.
all of it. You're doing
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
So, and then you'll have to hire people like an editor or, graphic artist to do your cover. So you're a publishing house, your own publishing house, if you self-publish. There's different kinds of hybrid, but I don't know enough about those, just enough to be dangerous. But to know
Well,
that it's good to check those things out.
the thing is, it's like when I have discussions with people, and I
Mhm.
just say, "What's your budget?"
Yeah,
If you're trying to get all of this done for $500,
not going to happen.
it's not going to happen. Or it may be something you could send down to, I was going to say Kinko's,
Yeah,
FedEx,
yeah, yeah. It still
your
Kinko's to
local.
me. But yeah, and you can get something bound for like $35. You know,
And you can distribute that way. You can do that.
oh
Okay,
my gosh.
you can definitely do that. But
Hmm.
if you want your book to look like something that could go in, and I think the question I asked, well, you want the book to have a quality that would be in a bookstore? Tell me, is that what you're
Hmm.
going for? Then
Yeah.
this is the kind of money that you're going to need. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're still telling me, yeah, 500, maybe max 1,000, it's not going to
Right.
happen.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. You're
not
gonna
going
have a
to
little pamphlet that you staple yourself, and that's
happen.
it. And it's,
Yeah.
again, it's like, how wide is the audience? Well, think about this, is that if an author is thinking about going to a publisher, first of all, you're researching to make sure that your book is a fit for these publishers and not
So
just send it to everybody.
what tips would you have for that?
That's it's, it's your subject matter, and then you can go online and say what publishers publish this type or adjacent to what I want to send out. Um,
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
pitch letter is important. You have to really just line out everything in it, everything.
Hmm.
What your book is about, what you're about. What qualifies you to write that book. What the book brings to the party, what makes it different from the books that are on the shelf next to it.
How
There's
long? How long is this pitch letter?
Oh gosh, it can go from a couple pages to, if you include, and you should include 1 to 3 chapters of your book, so they can get a feel for your writing and a feel for the book. Then that's going to be a few pages. Probably 2 for your pitch letter, and then your extra pages for chapters.
All right, but that is, are we into snail mail? Or if you're doing
Oh,
it
that
at,
is email.
but on an email, I
Hmm.
can tell you, you're not gonna attach those because their firewalls will do the block. All right,
Right.
and they don't want to open up stuff like that.
Hmm.
So so now we're dealing with, oh my God, you're gonna send them a 20-page email. All right,
It
so
depends. It depends. How does that, and again, it's like, how do they want their submissions? How
should
do they
it,
prefer them? Send in a
well,
PDF, it's
that's
smaller.
important. That
Yes.
is really important to ask.
Yeah. And that's something I need to add in. If you're approaching a publisher, it's
Hmm.
important to look at their submission guidelines. What do they want? And
Hmm.
give them what they're asking for. Don't say, well, I'm going to just do it this old way. Then you're not truly honoring the publisher. You need to honor what they need and give them what they need,
Hmm.
before you can even be considered.
Hmm. Okay. So maybe I'm wondering if maybe this is a two-step, a
Hmm.
shorter kind of query to
Yes.
have the who you are, what you're doing on
Hmm.
that, and then and then do the ask
Yeah.
if they can submit more. Now,
Hmm.
one of the things that's really important, and maybe Kat can help us here,
Hmm.
is that a lot of the query letters get trashed pretty quick.
And it may be because they're too long,
Hmm.
or they're going into a lot of unnecessary detail. I mean, really, the most important communications are to be clear. Stay on topic. Don't talk about your grandma and how she liked your writing and that kind of thing. It's got to be focused. It's got to be you telling, again, own your story. You know,
Or how important your dog
your
Fluffy
personal
is,
story, the story you're
and it's not
presenting.
about Fluffy. Oh my
And really
gosh.
be clear, concise, and give them the facts in a respectful way. And just, some people have agents, and agents are the experts at the query letter, and they will create the query letter for you and shop your book around.
Oh,
But they're also going to take a percentage in
oh, they
perpetuity
do
for that book.
for
In some
that
cases,
particular
it's worth
book.
it.
And sometimes if the book creates offspring,
Mhm.
um, that depending upon how what the relationship is and how they go about.
Yeah.
What is do you know the percentages typical? When I was with an agent, it was 10%. I'm suspecting it's higher now.
I think it's higher now. I mean, I would say at minimum 15. Again, I've done very little agenting, and that was a long time ago.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, that's it. That's a percentage. It may be a good idea for first-time authors who don't really know the ropes. And then with their following book, they know the ropes, how to present properly, because they learned, from someone who
Oh,
is a professional, how to do the
you
thing.
do you
Mhm.
do learn.
Mhm.
I think all of you need to understand you're on a giant learning curve all the
Mhm.
time.
Oh, yeah.
But
But that's
when
exciting. It's exciting and it's enriching to learn all of these new things that are going to help you be better at what you do.
okay, so I heard you talking about that media is a learnable skill.
Yes.
So, so to get our toe in the water, I mean, there are things like I tell authors, you need two one sheets. This is like, we used to have all these paper media kits. Can you
I
remember?
create one sheets. They're good. They're
Yeah.
quick, clear.
So you need one sheet for your book, but I would also suggest you do a one sheet for yourself.
Yes. Extended
You,
bio.
yeah, extended
That's where
bio.
you lay out grandma.
And
If you really need to, bring her to the
yeah,
party. But
yeah.
that's going to be your
You
extended bio.
you could include like areas of your expertise. That's all right there. Um,
Absolutely.
and doing it down. You could create no. Oh, I love it when you mentioned exercises or something and
Hmm.
on the podcast. You could give them a couple of activities that
Yes.
might be fun to
That come from
do.
your book because
Yeah,
that
from your
way
yeah
they
around
like
your
them.
book
Yep.
theme or your expertise. Even some quiz questions they could ask their
Hmm.
audience if it's a live they have call-ins. Most podcasts
Hmm.
don't have call-ins to them. Is that's
No,
my
very
experience.
few, very few. And
Yeah,
they'll want a reading or something, but
yeah. Oh,
very few.
when I started this years ago, we had a number of people could call in, and it turned out it took over. If you had, as a host, a direction you wanted to go, and you've got
Hmm.
now calls coming in, it is a total redirect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, because you'll go every which way. So,
Yeah.
um, although I always liked call-ins, I mean,
Hmm.
when I was on other people's, I liked it because you can feel them, but maybe the
Hmm.
host didn't because they might have had their own idea.
Yeah,
Uh.
there's that. There's all
Okay, so
kinds of folks out there. Hmm.
yeah, right. I'd love to have you. We've talked about local bookstores, it's the
Hmm.
pitching, right? But what about the local media or the local
Local media.
press?
Hmm. Local media is wonderful. Again, it's like having a creative person in your midst. They love local authors. It's like you have your local newspapers, your weeklies, and they'll have a little picture of your event at the library, that kind of thing. Get to be engaged with your local folks there.
Hmm.
Who'll do features and such like that. If you have a radio station in town, pop on one morning and talk to them about the events you're going to have at the library. So it's really important. Again, it's connecting with your local folks.
So you're thinking it might be a good idea to track down whatever hole in the wall it is.
Your little weekly newspaper. It helps.
Oh,
It
no, they're
helps.
great. I'm actually a humongous fan of the weeklies, and
Mm-hmm.
I was telling my staff team this morning that I'm doing the finish up of getting all the documentation out to the judges. We do every other year. We do a contest for aspiring authors. I don't know if I talked to
Oh,
you about this at
fantastic.
all. Right. So we
Yeah,
give a
love it.
yeah, we give away and we partner with Barnes and Noble on this.
Mm-hmm.
So
Fantastic.
like I'm in Barnes and Noble, I've got 6 Barnes and Noble stores that I am in all day coming up on weekends. And Barnes and Noble, because we do this through the charitable arm for the foundation,
Mm-hmm.
donates back a percentage of store sales. Hey, I'm
Oh,
there.
that's fantastic. Mm-hmm.
Not just my own, other people's. Right. So we give away five, we call it the Aspiring Author Scholarship. We give away five. It has a value of $17,000. Five
Fantastic.
cash, and they get a 1 month or 1 year mentoring academy to go through. So it's all kinds of things in there. And I told the team this morning that we were almost too successful. And you know where it all came from? The weeklies.
Mm-hmm.
The weeklies. I had Kat one day an entire page, whole page dedicated all around it on that. We have so many applicants. I've gone to the board saying we may need to give another. I mean, we are overwhelmed with applicants.
Mm-hmm. You're
Overwhelmed.
growing. Growing.
So, and it's something that I wrote a press release within the last 3 months of because the window is open almost 6 months. We open it up and we announce it. And then the last 3 months, I will put out a press release every week to and this scholarship you have to be a Colorado resident. That's the
Mm-hmm.
criteria. One, you're a Colorado resident, and number two, you're over 21. That's it. All right. Then you have
Oh,
to write an
fantastic.
essay. You have to write an
Mm-hmm.
essay of why you want to become an author, and you have
Mm-hmm.
to deliver so many pages of sampling so we can see can you write on it.
Mm-hmm. Writing is
Uh,
a skill.
Yeah,
It has to be
yes,
nurtured. It has to be, yes. Mm-hmm.
yes. So we do that, and every week, and then the media, and this we might want to suggest this to all of you since we are talking about publicity in media.
Mm-hmm.
Is do you know that you can go into the Google and you can say, what are all the weeklies in your state
Mm-hmm.
or in your region? What is the TV? What is the radio? What is, all those kind of things? And I would just start spitting, I have got over 300 contacts now in a special email list that I shoot all these
Oh,
press
that's
releases.
fantastic. That's a really good idea. I also have my friend Claude, who helps me do research on such. It
All right.
really helps. Mm-hmm.
So Claude will track down all these people. See, there
Yes.
you go. So
Yep.
you can
Very
ask
clear instructions.
it, all right, and put it together and then have that.
Mm-hmm.
And then now that's a powerful resource you all will have to reach
Mm-hmm.
out to and then communicate. And you can make it theme oriented, or if you've got a book, Kat, I had a client I worked with. I loved the book. I thought the book was brilliant. And it was something like the title was What to Do, What to Say, and How to Help When Crisis Hits.
We all want a copy of that one.
They would not, could not get out and do the hustle. It was
Oh,
such a great book. And I'm just saying, we get fires here in Colorado.
yep.
We had a really horrible fire. And I said, you should be on to everybody,
Mm-hmm.
every station saying, I'm an expert in this, what to do, what to say, how to help. Here are
Yeah,
3 things
I
that you
can
could
help, and these
recommend.
are the three things I can bring to the party to help.
They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. And to me, that's just
That
like,
always breaks my heart. I've
it
had that
broke my
happen.
heart. It broke my heart
I'm
on it.
sure.
I love the book. I love the theme from the get-go. I thought it was incredibly needed. I bought multiple copies and sent them to people
Oh, yeah.
um, on that. And it was just really too bad on that. But so now we're talking about newsjacking. Do you want to talk about newsjacking at all? How to take advantage of that?
No, tell me a little bit more about news.
Oh, oh, oh.
You're teaching
Okay.
me some stuff. That's why I'm here.
Uh-oh. Well, newsjacking is when there's some breaking news,
Yes.
whether it's uh, Tiger Woods and drugs,
Mm-hmm.
drinking, or sex. Okay, there's 3 topics we could have hit on.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
And then
I've done
yeah,
that.
and 4, the addictions. Just the addictions that people have. So you could do a coat day. You could pull some celebrity. There's always some celebrity that's screwing up. Okay, you
Mm-hmm.
could do celebrity, or there's breaking news. So when you newsjack, you actually identify something that's going on. There could be even a trending hashtag with it, and do it, and then do the pitch out that your
Mm-hmm.
expertise is, and then you could do that. but it's a technique. It should be people should have it in their just radar, I think, to be able to do that. I'm trying to as I'm talking, I'm there is a guy who came up with the term, so I want to give him credit.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is, David Meerman, Meerman Scott.
Mhm.
Okay. And newsjacking, here are the two things that are, well, maybe three. One, you've got the expertise that could help out, or
Mhm.
whether your book, your theme, or you. Number
Yep.
two, you've got to have Speedy Gonzalez in your DNA. You got to respond very
Yes.
quickly. And it has to be relevant to go out. And I'll give you an example that involved me. My expertise, my doctorate's in ethics. Do women undermine other women? I have written multiple books on it. When Monica Lewinsky came along, and um, that side of it was not where I was after. I was after Linda Tripp and the undermining of her friend.
Oh,
Got it?
yes.
Okay. I was on CNBC every day,
That was a strange story.
just talking about it. But it was, and that was long before the newsjacking term came up. But I was certainly an expert in female undermining and covert operations. That was my expertise. So I could come in and I could talk about the why and
Mhm.
what can be done. And I was on so often during the time. I mean, People Magazine did a cover story. I was um, on it.
Mhm.
And so those are the things that you want to be alert with. So I think, let's add newsjack to your vocabulary, everybody,
Mhm.
that you could go on. And if you see something that is relevant to who you are, what you write about, a theme, and if you can add a couple of tips into it, that's when you reach out.
Yep.
That is really when you do the reach out, just to see and help. And do you have do you recommend the freebie and maybe the lesser cost? Because media release places for press release get very pricey. Can you help us out here?
I do. Are you looking for, so we're going to recommend something that has a database in it and that people can use. I found one that's a really good price and it's called Just Reach Out and they
Okay.
specialize in podcasts.
Ooh, I love
Yeah, and
that.
they have individual account levels that you can have and you can create your materials right in there,
Hmm.
and they gather the list together for you and you just do everything right there. And if you are not good at writing pitches and such, they will help you. And so it's an incredible resource. I mean, we're using a different system right now, but when we're done with it, we're going to move into that one because not
Well,
only is it
that's
cost effective, but it's got all the tools, because we're not born with the tools. We have to learn the tools and
yes.
develop them. So it's not, it is intimidating to learn a new skill, but it's also exciting, to add to your body of knowledge and become more proficient at life and the things that you want to do.
Oh, I think so too. So I'm looking at, so what is the website? Because I put a justreachout.com and I got GoDaddy. Go by the
Yeah, you
domain.
could probably, I think it might be JRO or something, or you might just Google just reach out and
Oh, try not to go to the website. See, I was going to go after to find out
yeah,
the
because I'm not sure how
pricing
that.
and all of that.
I'm not sure. Yeah, there you go. It could be JRO for all I know. But just reach
It,
out and you can make
it's
media.
justreachout.io, everybody.
There you
IO.
go. Okay.
So not .com,
Hmm.
justreachout.io. So that's PR software for PR consultants and specialists. Well, that's what you're going to be
Hmm.
doing. Okay,
But
that's
if
what
you're
you're
an
going to be
individual author too, if you want to get in and promote your book, you can learn how.
at. So they have a 7-day free trial. They have
Hmm.
monthly.
Yep.
And so but this can add money. So you're talking about 147 a month. So some of you are thinking, okay, maybe that would not work. So let's go back to the old fashioned way. Some of the
Hmm.
DIY techniques that specialists are doing. So let me give you pr.com, prlog.com, which are
Oh.
freebies that you can go in and put push outs there. Now, the other thing
Oh.
I'm going to recommend all to you, you should be on Google Alerts. And
Mm-hmm. Yep.
please make sure that you have your name there as well as your title of your book. And make
Mm-hmm.
sure
In
when you
quotes.
fill this stuff out, you put quote marks around them. Otherwise, if with Kat's name, she could, who knows what she's going to get in.
Oh
But
gosh.
I mean, and I could get every Judith in the world, right?
Hmm.
So those, but you do that. The other one that I love a lot is Talk Walker. TALKWALKER. It's interesting. Hootsuite just bought them. Uh,
Mm.
but I found Talk Walker, same thing, quotes around. You go in, freebies. That they're very responsible in here, on it. Like I got something today in my email feed from Talk Walker about the Authors Hall of Fame, okay, for the
Mm.
Aspiring Author Scholarships. So I mean, you never know, but you want to just kind of add that to your toolkit because we're talking toolkit here,
Mm-hmm.
um, of putting it together.
Yep.
So and getting it out. So let's go back to what Kat and I were talking about. We were playing around with our title, the platform, the pitches, and the panache. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, your platform, I have different definitions, but for when you're going out to podcasters or media, or even if you land a radio show or TV show, they really do want to know how many connections do you have, how many followers,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
will
How can
you
people
do
reach you and how do they
yeah,
find out more about you?
yeah, and will they do the shout out? Are you going to tell people before and after?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to
You
do that?
should. You should.
And you're
As soon as you
and,
get that booking, be planning, before you get that
yeah,
booking, be
and
planning how you're going to promote
announce
it
me.
and check out the show
Announce it,
beforehand. What do they do? Are they
please. Thank you. That's a thank you. Okay. So that's one side of it on that.
Mhm.
So, and that getting that pitch, that short, like if you can say who and what you are within 10 words, that's a home
Mhm.
run. It's a home run,
Yes.
um, for connecting. And so, but your platforms, your numbers, your pitches is getting down, who you are, what you're about, what you're going to do for their listeners, their viewers, whichever way they
Mhm.
go. You have that. And then have some fun, with it.
Yeah.
And
I have to say it's like there's like the little AI tools out there. I'm going to do a little talk on that, for the organization. But it's good
mhm,
for research, and they can
mhm.
export that stuff into a Word document for you, for an Excel document. But asking for media on particular topics, it can build you a media list just to get you started. I mean, you should always be looking
Ideal.
to add to it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's totally ideal,
Mm-hmm.
to get going on that. So I'm all
Yep.
for that.
Jumping
Um,
off place.
with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, I think we're getting, I mean, I should have Ben tell me what our timing is, but I think just to go on the review of all this. So we have a few minutes left to go. But so let's just kind of go over some of the key things, Kat, that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Gave me a laundry list, so I'd love to do that. And one is about, and then just give us a few minutes after, but you got to own your own story before anyone else is done. You know, a lot of times authors are fearful to tell people their story because they're sure someone's going to steal it.
They can't. They don't have the same lived experience that you do. I mean,
I
that
know.
they've got their own story, and if they, what is it that the whole thing? Imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Hmm?
It's you can't steal somebody's story because it's not yours. It's not yours,
No,
and you're not going to be
no,
able to embody and share that story the same way
exactly.
as the
Yeah,
as the
yeah,
original. You're the
that is,
original of your story. Mm-hmm.
yeah. All right. And then we mentioned email.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is there a benchmark that they're looking for followers and emails if you're trying to pitch yourself into the media?
I would say, I mean, you want to have a good many. I mean, I don't want
Hmm.
to people off, but I mean, you want to have like, 1,500 or, you know, up from there, 3,000, that kind of thing. And so, and you can obtain those connections a variety of different ways. Newsletter list at your events where people can sign up there. Um, going online
Always.
with it.
Oh, we didn't mention that. That's a must-have if you do any event, everyone. You should have a sign-up sheet.
Mm-hmm,
Have your book picture on it. Put your picture on it. Have a line that
mm-hmm.
says that you will join your exclusive preferred mailing list. By the way, when you do that and they sign in with it, they've basically done the opt-in for you. Just
Yes,
saying. Want to tell
yes,
you. All
yep.
right. So ask for name, ask for email, and ask
Mm-hmm,
for mobile. Some will give it to you.
mm-hmm.
Doesn't hurt. Yeah.
Yep. And you can add it on there, but it really is. People are looking for community. If they're inspired by you, that way, when you leave with that list
Hmm.
of folks who want to stay connected with you, it's a
Hmm.
wonderful thing. It's inspiring.
Hmm. Hmm. All right. So emails are invaluable. Remember, you own your emails. You don't own what you can have on social media. Social media can disappear in a
Oh yeah.
nanosecond.
Hmm.
So emails is your gold list. All right. Um, so I need to find, it's not a personality trait, it's a learnable skill. You're talking about media
Hmm.
outreach. So, why would anyone think it's a personality trait? Maybe because you're outgoing or something?
I think that they'll look online, they'll look onto social media, and there are some people who are very gregarious and produce a lot of material and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But it's really about consistency, not the amount so much. Consistency.
Hmm.
Post once a week. Post every couple of days, whatever you have time for. There's also services that you can just stick all your posts in there. If you're inspired one day and you write 10 posts, it'll farm them out for you over the weeks. And so
A
you get some.
scheduler. I'm all for a scheduler. Yes. That to me is a necessary tool to have.
Oh yeah. It really is, and it'll save you stress because some days and you're due a post and you just don't got it. You have the post when for a day where you were really juiced up and full of ideas, and you can share that.
And we all have those days, by the way.
Oh yeah.
A- And we all have those days where it's like nothing is there. All right.
Hmm.
All right. Then you have one of your key points is content repurposing turns an idea to into many assets. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, you can take just a little um, pitch letter and you can turn it into like a little snippet on social media. You can elongate it and make it into a newsletter. You can you can use it for a few different things, like you say you have a piece of writing, you can expand upon it over several different types of places where you can use content. Does that
Hmm.
make sense?
Yeah, I love
Mhm.
it. All right. And then last but not least is we talked about the local papers, how important they are.
Yeah, they really are. And it's more and more the case because a lot of people, everything's online and they just want to find something that's real, a newspaper, a weekly, something they can sit out at the pub and, have a nice tasty adult beverage and look at what's happening in town that week, that kind of thing. It's like real world interaction.
And by the way, at your local pub, your local cafe and grocery store, it's where you
Hmm.
find your weeklies, by the way. And
Yeah.
another great source, and we'll wrap here. Another great source is if you live around any of the 55 communities, they often have clubhouses. Check it out. That
Oh.
may be where you could do a book talk or go in
Hmm.
and do any of that. All right. Well, we're with Kat Neff. You can find her at Katneff, KATNEFF.com. And also search her out on Kat Neff on LinkedIn and do
Hmm.
all that. So, Kat, thank you so much for being with us the past hour.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. I
Okay,
really appreciate
thank
it.
you. All right, everyone, we'll see you next week with another show all about your success.